can recall standing in my kitchen one morning, making my cup of coffee like I always do. And it was just me and my two dogs. And we had just finished up our morning routine. The rest of the family was still sleeping. So the house was quiet for the most part. And you would think I would be enjoying that peace, right? Instead, I felt a sense of restlessness and something just felt off. And on the surface, life appeared to be in order, but inside, I could not put my finger on what was wrong. It was a mix of high emotions, low energy, and little confidence in finding happiness. And I just kept asking myself, is this it? And at that moment, I I realized that I was exhausted. I was, giving myself to so many other people. I was burned out. I was desiring more, but I didn't know what more was. I was watching my life unfold, and it was not what I was looking for. And on top of all that, I began to deal with a lot of physical health issues, which then took a toll on my mental health. And this is when I realized I was in the middle of what I now call my figure it out era. I'm in my early 40s and I'm not, the young woman I used to be in my 20s and 30s. And, I realize I've grown in a lot of ways, but however, I was still unsure of who I was becoming. And it was like I was standing at a crossroads with no clear map, and life was just moving on ahead of me. And I think what affected me most was that I usually am able to navigate my way out of obstacles and challenges. I'm the figure it out girl. But at this time, I was not the figure it out girl, and life was delivering gut punch after gut punch, and all I could do was stand there and endure it. Hey, I'm Dakia, and this is Soulful Sips Real Talk, the space where we speak from the heart, we get to exhale slowly, and remind each other that figuring it out is a part of the journey, and it's a beautiful part, and you're not doing it alone. Now, like I said, I refer to this part of my journey as the figure it out era. Because I had always been, like I said, I've always been the fixer, the one that figures it out, the one that will make a way. Yet I truly did not know how to fix what was happening to me, both mentally and physically. I was really left trying to understand all of these changes. And it's funny how life shifts so quickly without any warnings. And I went from feeling well to battling a wave of health issues. And it took a real toll, not just on my body, but on my mind and spirit. And, you constantly hear those stories, like, girl, once you hit your 40s, you're going to feel every ache and pain, and you won't be able to do all the things you used to do. And I believe some of that, especially the part about the aches and pain. I mean, I wasn't this young girl who was bopping in the clubs and dropping it like I was hot, in my 20s anymore. I'm a full-time mom and, full-time worker and helping taking care of the family. But I was never told about the sudden shifts that you sometimes go through in your 40s. And these shifts kind of hit you fast and they hit you hard. And they're an unfamiliar version of yourself that can cause an overwhelming amount of grief and tears. And I can say I had plenty of days of tears. And the, I guess the funny part or the weird part about it is that the grief and tears overwhelmed me, yet I could not identify or name what I was truly feeling. I just felt blah. I was asking myself, is this really my 40s? I don't know if you recall in the previous episode, I talked about when I entered into my 40s, I felt on top of the world. I felt like everything was just vibing and going great. And then I was standing there asking myself, what in the hell is happening to me right now? Where did this shift come in? It was just like a wave that just hit me. And I was so frustrated with life and so frustrated with like how all the responsibilities that once made me proud now just felt heavy. And I was so sad and I was so burned out. But somehow, even in this fog, I knew something had to change. I wasn't a quitter, and I've never been a quitter. I had experienced these emotions, and I was experiencing them, but not understanding what was changing. And I felt like it was a real, true awakening on like what was going on, what I was going through. It made me pay attention to the parts of me that I felt like I had silenced and kept pushing to the side, and I kept pushing through different things, and parts of me I felt like I had buried and kept on moving. I feel like, we as women, we don't often know how to prioritize ourselves like we should. However, I feel like my body and God was telling me I needed to be still and I needed to sit down and I needed to pay more attention to myself. And so as we enter these new phases in our lives and these changes in our 40s, we tend to ignore, I feel like, and silence certain aspects of our lives. But I had to figure out and face myself. Self-awareness isn't always graceful at times. It can come in waves of tears. It can come in waves of hard truths. But naming your emotions and understanding your triggers, that's where I feel like the healing truly begins. And I didn't know what that looked like at the time. Healing and making myself better physically and mentally, I truly did not know how to do that. I was struggling, and I didn't want to tell anybody I was struggling. Because again, I'm super mom, I'm the strong girl, I'm, all these different things. I just knew I wasn't, but, I had to keep pushing through. I realized that the shutting down turned into stillness, and that stillness allowed me to discover parts of myself that I had never even fully embraced before. And I hope you can understand what I'm truly saying. I think when life changes on you so quickly and you, especially as women, I feel like we have a pattern. We have a set way that we are doing things in life and taking care of our families and, maybe running our businesses or working full time or, whatever it is that you are doing in your life. We have a set way of doing it, a set schedule. We maintain it a certain way. We, prioritize it a certain way. And I think when you are rolling along and you're thinking everything is fine and out of the blue, life shifts on you, and it shifts on you in a way that it literally knocks you back off of your feet. And I think that is a hard reality check, a hard dose of like, this is your life right now, and you need to really focus on making yourself better. It can be, I think, truly difficult to open up and discuss these changes we face as Black women. You know, we're often, like I said, expected to be the strong ones, the ones who have it all together, the ones who can figure everything out. However, there is no playbook for how life can unexpectedly shift on you. We carry our burdens, and I've said this before, we carry our burdens with grace. You know, we carry them with pride. We're always fighting through any obstacles that come our way, and in doing so, we sometimes forget that we don't have it all figured out. And when life deals you a hand, a deck of cards that you weren't prepared to play with, yeah, it makes you step back and realize, like, I really don't have it all together. These challenges that I faced made me realize I had to start to rebuild myself again. And so, what does rebuilding yourself mean? And for me, I felt that meant shifting from always focusing on others. And that's hard for me. That one was hard for me because I feel like I'm a giver. I want to take care of everybody. I want to make sure everybody has everything together. I want to step in and manage it and do it myself if I have to make sure everybody is good. I think rebuilding myself also meant saying no without guilt. When I was depleted or just didn't want to do it, I needed to learn how to just say, no, I'm not doing that today, or I'm tired, or I'm exhausted, or I need to just rest. And I think also being honest about what I needed. That one, I feel like I don't do enough. Even when it's hard to speak up and it might be uncomfortable, I feel like you have to be honest and let people know, this is what I need. If you can't give it to me, guess what? I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to prioritize what I need to make myself better. And then, you know, with the rebuilding comes, I feel like, prioritizing your self-care. And don't get me wrong, I know self-care looks different for everybody. It could be, you know, like they always say, it could be like a nice bubble bath, or a warm glass of tea, and you're reading a book, or, you know, I'm not knocking that. That's wonderful, because who doesn't like a nice hot shower, or nice cup of tea, or, you know, whatever to just relax you and calm you down from the day. But when I say prioritizing and self-care, that was tapping into my overall health, getting healthy from within. Because like I stated before, I started going through some mental and physical health issues, and they just came out of nowhere. And I'm still dealing with those health issues. And it's been a journey, and it's been a up and down journey, and a roller coaster of different emotions of like, why can't I get this better? Why am I not getting better in these areas? Why is this process taking so long? I literally just went to the doctor's the other day, and me and my doctor kind of made a joke, and she was like, didn't I just see you? And I was like, I know. Trust me, I love seeing you, but I'm tired of coming here because we're still trying to figure out things as it concerns my health. So, you know, I feel like prioritizing your self-care also means setting, you know, not just doing the bubble baths or the hot showers or the tea and the, you know, a good book, but tapping into yourself and knowing what you need to make yourself better. And then acknowledging the versions of myself that I didn't acknowledge before. And that to me meant I didn't need to prove my worth to feel worthy. I don't know if you heard me on that one. But I feel like we do that a lot, constantly trying to prove ourselves to people to feel worthy by those people. Why do we need that? Why are we doing that? And then releasing routines and relationships that no longer fit who I needed to become and who I was trying to become. No, don't get me wrong. I don't have all this figured out. I'm 42 years old, and some women might be saying, girl, how you don't have this figured out yet? You're in your 40s. And I would honestly step back and say to those women, there is so much pressure in having everything figured out. And wouldn't it be wonderful to have all that together and packaged so neatly with a bow on top, and you just knew how you wanted everything to be in life? However, this is real life. There is grace in continuous learning and discovering what you need. And I'm learning. I'm growing every day on this journey in my 40s. But what I am doing is taking ownership, not just of the pain, but of my power. I am no longer ignoring the things that I need, and I am reclaiming parts of myself that I wasn't doing before. And that's my creativity, my voice. I'm really standing tall in who I'm trying to become. And again, I'm still figuring it out and getting rid of the things that no longer serve me, especially for my mental and my physical health, but especially for my mental health. I don't want to be the fixer all the time. I really don't. I feel like that holds a lot of pressure on you to always have to step up and try to fix everybody else's problems. I don't feel like I need to be the girl that has everything together. And I realize I need to be the girl that rests, that speaks up, and that, stands tall for what she believes and what she wants. I truly believe that something great does emerge after, unraveling things in your life and starting to rebuild. I didn't come out of this situation perfectly. I came out real. That reality check on how I needed to start putting myself first and being more than okay with that is starting to now feel, honestly, really, really good. Knowing that I'm working hard to take care of myself more. So if you're listening right now and you feel like you're in that between space where everything is shifting and you don't quite recognize yourself, I want you to know this. I truly want you to know this. You are not alone. So many Black women are going through this and have already gone through this. You are unfolding. You are coming into view, and yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's hella uncomfortable. And yes, it can be lonely. It can be a scary process, but keep going. There are better days ahead. There really are better days ahead. Because I feel like what's on the other side of the unraveling and, really coming into view on the things that matter to you and taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself and really figuring it all out the best that you can, I feel like it's beautiful. It's not perfect, but it's real. And this is your figure it out era. This is what you have to go through. What's that church song? I think it's by the Mighty Clouds of Joy. No one ever told me life would be easy, but I know he didn't bring me this far to leave me. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that song, but that is kind of like my little motto that I kind of live by, in a sense of like, yes, God has taken me through some rough patches and some ups and downs, and I don't fully understand why, but I'm trusting the plan and the process. And I know that I'm going to get through all these obstacles and these hurdles that I have gone through. And like I said before, I have never been a quitter. I don't even think that's in my vocabulary. And so I'm telling you that, in this moment, if you are going through this right now, you're going to come out of the other side and it's going to be beautiful. And you are going to feel so tall and strong and rooted in what you believe in. And so until next time, remember to make every sip count and let love be the flavor that fills your cup. I thank you for being here and for choosing to press play. I invite you to subscribe and make sure you leave a heartfelt review and share this space with a girlfriend who is seeking some soulful conversations. Make sure to join me and follow me on Instagram at Soulful Sips with Dakia. And until next time,